Stop scrolling right now. Seriously. Cancel whatever you're doing. Lock the door, close the blinds, and turn the volume all the way up. Because what just happened in the tennis world is not just another match result. It is not just another upset on the WTA Tour. This was an earthquake. A seismic, history-shaking moment that is sending shockwaves through every corner of professional tennis. And while millions of fans around the world watch the action unfold on the court, the real drama, the part that is making veteran players extremely uncomfortable, started after the match ended. We all saw Alex Eala step onto the court against Diana Yastremska. On paper, it looked like a typical matchup. A rising young talent against a seasoned and dangerous opponent who has been on the tour for years. Most analysts expected a competitive match, maybe even a comfortable win for the more experienced player. But what happened instead stunned the entire tennis world. Alex Eala didn't just win the match. She dismantled it. From the very first rally, there was something different about her presence. The calm in her eyes. The confidence in her movement. The way she absorbed pressure and redirected it back across the net like a perfectly calculated weapon. Yastremska tried everything. Big serves. Aggressive baseline attacks. Risky winners. But the harder she pushed, the more the match seemed to spiral out of her control. The statistics told the story. Double faults piling up. Forced errors mounting with every rally. A growing sense of frustration that the cameras could barely hide. Meanwhile, on the other side of the net, Eala stood like a wall. Every shot had purpose. Every rally felt like a test of endurance. And every point she won seemed to drain a little more confidence from her opponent. By the time the final point ended, the crowd knew they had just witnessed something special. But what nobody expected was what happened next. Because moments after the match, a message appeared that changed everything. A notification that turned quiet locker room conversations into full-blown chaos. The message came from a name that carries enormous weight in the world of tennis. A name that represents greatness, resilience, and legendary dominance. Rafael Nadal. The 22-time Grand Slam champion. The King of Clay. One of the most respected athletes in the history of the sport. And his message was directed at Alex Eala. Now, to the average fan, a congratulatory message from a legend might seem normal. But inside the hyper-competitive, deeply political environment of professional tennis, this moment carries massive implications. Because in the unwritten culture of the tour, young players who pull off big upsets are usually treated with caution. Veterans often downplay the moment. They call it luck. They blame conditions. They suggest the opponent simply had a bad day. It's a subtle but effective way of protecting the existing hierarchy of the sport. But Nadal didn't follow that script. Not even close. Instead of minimizing the moment, Nadal rarely does this. For more than 2 decades, he has remained incredibly selective with his public endorsements. He respects the next generation, but he almost never singles someone out in such a powerful way, so when he did it for Alex Eala, the message was loud and clear. This is someone special. And suddenly the atmosphere around the tour began to change. Inside practice courts and player lounges, conversations started shifting. Coaches began analyzing her game more closely. Opponents started watching match footage with a little more urgency. Because Alex Eala isn't just another promising young player. She represents something much bigger. She is a product of the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, one of the most intense training environments in the sport. This academy isn't designed to create casual professionals. It is built to produce competitors who can survive the brutal mental battles that define elite tennis. Players who train their learn to fight for every point, every rally, every moment. And if you watched Eala during that match, you could see those lessons on full display. The relentless defense, the heavy topspin shots, the refusal to panic under pressure. Looked eerily familiar to anyone who has watched Nadal dominate the sport for years. That same stubborn determination. That same refusal to surrender, the kind of mentality that turns talented players into champions. And now that mentality has captured the attention of one of the greatest competitors the sport has ever seen. For fans, this moment is exciting. But for opponents, it's something else entirely. Because when a young player combines talent, discipline, and belief at this level, the rest of the tour starts asking difficult questions. Is this the beginning of a new era? Is Alex Eala about to become one of the biggest rising forces in women's tennis? It's too early to make final predictions. Tennis history has taught us that the journey to the top is never simple. But one thing is undeniable. After this match, and after Nadal's public message, Alex Eala is no longer flying under the radar. The entire tennis world is watching now, and if this performance was any indication, they might be witnessing the start of something extraordinary. Tennis fire.
And that is where the story becomes even more terrifying for the rest of the tour. Because what Alex Eala now carries with her is something far more dangerous than a powerful forehand or a reliable backhand. She carries the ultimate cheat code of tennis psychology, the mindset of a champion that has been programmed into her through years of relentless training. Think about it for a moment. How do you prepare for an opponent who is not just talented, but who is backed by the king himself? You don't. You simply can't. You sit in your hotel room the night before the match, staring at the tournament draw, and you feel the pressure building inside your chest. Because suddenly this isn't just another match on the calendar. This feels bigger. Much bigger. And it's not just the players who are feeling this shift. Behind the scenes, in the offices of powerful sports agencies and global marketing companies, executives are watching very carefully. The people who run the business side of tennis, the agents, the sponsors, the television networks, they understand something that casual fans often miss. In modern sports, narratives create empires. And right now, Alex Eala has the most powerful narrative in tennis. Because when Rafael Nadal speaks, the entire sports world listens. Luxury brands listen. Tournament directors listen. Global broadcasters listen. And when those people start paying attention, the commercial machine of professional sports begins to move at lightning speed. Suddenly, a young player becomes more than just a competitor. She is making some veteran players extremely uncomfortable. Because deep down they understand how quickly the spotlight can shift in modern tennis. One moment you're the headline attraction. The next moment you're playing early morning matches on outer courts while the cameras are focused somewhere else. And the fear spreading through parts of the locker room right now is simple. What if Alex Eala is about to become the center of everything? What if the primetime matches, the biggest crowds, the loudest stadiums, all begin revolving around her? And remember, she doesn't just represent herself. She represents an entire nation. The Philippines is a country with more than 100 million people, many of whom are incredibly passionate sports fans. For years they have waited for a tennis star they could truly rally behind. Now they have one. And when you combine that massive fan base with the global army of supporters who admire Rafael Nadal, the potential wave of support becomes enormous. Imagine stepping onto the court against Eala in a major tournament. The stadium packed. The crowd roaring. Every big moment drawing louder and louder cheers. That kind of atmosphere can change matches. It can shift momentum. It can turn pressure into fuel for one player and into overwhelming stress for the other. And that's why this moment feels so significant. Because whether people like it or not, tennis is always evolving. Every era eventually gives way to the next generation. Legends rise. New challengers appear. And the balance of power slowly begins to shift. Right now, Alex Eala might be standing at the very beginning of that shift. The match against Yastremska was more than just a victory. It was a statement, proof that she can compete and win on the biggest stages. And Nadal's message only amplified that statement, sending it echoing across the entire tennis world. But here is the truth that every fan should remember. Tennis history is filled with young players who looked unstoppable for a moment, only to face new challenges later on. The road to greatness is long. It requires consistency, resilience, and the ability to handle enormous expectations. Now the spotlight is brighter than ever. Every opponent will study her game more carefully. Every match will carry higher stakes. Every victory will bring new pressure. That is the true test of a champion. And the rest of this season is going to show us exactly how Alex Eala handles that challenge. Because whether you are a fan, a rival, or simply a neutral observer, one thing is absolutely certain. The tennis world is watching her now. And the next chapter of this story might be even more dramatic than the first. Tennis Fire.